Okay, so I just want to have a quick talk about the Kawasaki Vulcan S650. The one that you're watching the video on is a 2017, late 2017 model. I picked it up at the start of July and it had 29,858 miles on the clock. It's now got 30,500, so I've covered a little bit of distance, and I think it's enough distance to basically give my thoughts on this bike. So off the bat, it's a cruiser. At least it's styled like a cruiser. You sit on, you've got a neutral seating position, you're upright, nice short reach to the bars. You've got foot forward controls. So if you typically when you sit on a bike and you look straight down, your feet are basically in line with you. Your shifter, your brake lever. On this, they're actually in front of you, so it's quite a relaxed seating position. Now, I mention that it looks like a cruiser because it is a cruiser. It just happens to have a detuned ZX6 engine in it, so it's basically got a Supersport engine inside of the frame. Admittedly, it's vastly detuned, but it's still a Supersport engine. What that means basically is your typical cruiser, will redline around about 5,000 RPM. This thing will start to redline at 9,500 RPM. You hit the power band at 6,000. Power band on this, it's enough to kind of pull you back in the seat, but it's not like rip your arms off type of power. It's kind of created its own category because whilst it's a cruiser, it's not really a cruiser, but it's not a sports bike either, so it's like a sports cruiser. It's got a 14-litre petrol tank that is supposed to last minimum of sort of 150 miles. Given the absolutely obnoxious exhaust that is on the bike, and that was on the bike when I purchased it, it lasts quite a bit less because I happen to be not using a lot of my fuel. It's basically going out the exhaust, it's running rich, going out the exhaust, it pops and bangs and flames. So whilst it sounds nice, it's not the most economical with that current setup. That is being changed, however, hopefully this week. Now, it's supposedly a middleweight bike. It weighs 228 kilogram with fuel. Personally, I don't feel the weight. I genuinely don't think it's that heavy, but I'm used to riding heavier bikes, so that could be the reason for that. Performance-wise, if you want to ride it nice and chilled, you can. If you want to ride it on the sportier side of stuff, you can. It's very flickable, again, very light, very easy to drop into corners, quite easy as well to, see something that you want to overtake and you just twist the throttle and you go. Quite a clunky gearbox, but a very, very nice light clutch. Braking wise, it's a single disc on the front and a single disc on the back. There is space to have put a second disc on the front. It needs, in my opinion, that second disc. I don't know why they didn't add it, but if I was to go to the drawing board and design this bike or redesign this bike, I would add a second disc, because there have been a few occasions now where in the dry, I've come up behind a vehicle and say that vehicle in front, I've left the distance, but that vehicle in front has braked sharply. I've pulled my brakes, at least my front brake, and the only thing I can put it down to is like the old school Peugeots, like a 106. You used to put your foot on the brake, nothing would happen, nothing would happen, nothing would happen, and your foot was practically on the floor, and then you'd stop. Whilst the Vulcan's brakes aren't as bad as that, for me, and bearing in mind I'm a heavier rider, they're not far off that. So In terms of the bike itself, it's a head turner. It gets people talking. You do get people coming up to you. I've had more people come up to me on this than any other bike I've ever owned. You know, it does get people's attention. It does get people talking, which is always a good thing. It's a difficult bike to try and sort of place. Really, it's not great at anything in particular, but it will do everything you ask. It doesn't necessarily fail at anything it does, but it's not the best at everything it does. You know, if you want a cruiser, buy a typical cruiser. If you want a sports bike, buy a sports bike. But it's fun to ride. And more importantly, because this is replacing a car, it's easy for my 7-year-old to get on and off of, which is brilliant. Would I buy another one? Probably not. I'd probably just go for an actual cruiser. But that's just me, and we are all different, so